When that CEO wife sees me, I am ready to give up all the documents and do a full confrontation against his company's Hughes Group, at which she suddenly realizes that her husband is me and she cannot control herself. But as soon as she sees the divorce paper that I give her, it freezes, on which it is written that I will go empty-handed. I will even give up child custody, since when has our marriage remained in name only and I don't want to continue it anymore. I say sign it. And it's better for both of us. You and your mom both want Jiang Kan Nyan to be your son-in-law, so I leave room for him myself. By saying this, I get out of the cage called family, after which I think she will show understanding and sign the divorce, but he throws it again. I was brought up to be a son-in-law in the Su family since childhood, and at the age of 20 I get married to Tothan Uyen. Then at the age of 22 we have a son, Sonium Thon. It's like a full moon, it's always there and never comes to me. But last night for the first time he himself comes to me and says Papa Jiang uncle is going to die. His last wish is to marry his mother. Can you divorce your mother? At which moment I completely break down and think that now only divorce is right. At breakfast, I personally hand over the divorce papers to Than Oyen and say that I have been thinking about my son's words all night. If he likes Jiang Kanha Nyan so much, I will also leave custody. I'll go empty-handed. Assets you give to the child's name, accept it as support. On which the police station looks up with a coffee cup and says, "Were you talking to me?" I look at the Bluetooth earphones in his ears and realize that he hasn't heard a single word of mine, which makes me feel helpless because every time I talk to him I get the same ignorance. Then I turn directly to the last page of the divorce paper and say it will not take much time to sign, at which she looks at me and is about to open the paper. Just then our son comes running and says, "Mom, hurry up. Uncle Jiang is waiting," to which I hold her hand and tell her to sign first, and then she finally looks at me. He didn't expect me to be so forceful. The son standing on the side keeps telling him to hurry up. To which she says okay, I sign, and she signs immediately without reading anything. Then both of them quickly leave from there and I don't see them anymore but write my name next to his signature. My name and Tothan Hines' name come together twice in this life. The first time on the marriage certificate and the second time on this divorce paper. Even after signing it, my hand keeps trembling a little. After this, I send the papers to the lawyer and go upstairs and start packing my things, on which the closet is full. But there is not a single fabric in it that I like, and he never realized it. Before the age of 16 I was carefree. Laughs, bungee jumps, loves racing. But after marriage I am forced to follow the rules. It is said to be hummable and gentle, because the family just wanted a perfect son-in-law. But even after all this I only get the mocking of his friends. I'm fake, he says, and Jiang Cannon and Thanon are the perfect couple. Thinking of all this, when I see the clothes that belong to Koshin Sinha, I feel pain from inside and feel like news. I go to the bathroom and vomit. After a while, when I look at myself in the mirror, I realize that divorce is the right decision and I don't want to be on the edge of it anymore. I want to go out and be myself again. Then I call my best friend that he came to pick me up because so family is not my home, and call family also ignored me after marriage, so that is also not my home anymore. My friend comes early and confusedly asks, "Today is your birthday and what are you doing here? Last week, you said you would celebrate with your wife and son." To which I get shocked and take out the phone and look at the chat history, and it turns out that I had actually booked the restaurant and had also invited H. Suan, but he did not reply till now. At first I may have been sad, but now I'm soaked that I go to the restaurant with a friend. But as soon as we tell the booking code, the manager walks over and says that today the entire restaurant has been booked by Madam, and she is celebrating the birthday of Kachin Shan with her son, and he talks about giving us a double refund. To which I say there is no need for a refund. The real Korshin Sin is me. But as we walk into the hall, we hear the laughter of a happy family in the distance. We see To Thana Hyan and Konamthan wishing Jiang Kang Nyan a happy birthday. To which he says you get every happiness, and the son says, "Jiang uncle, you marry mom and become my dad." Seeing this, I see them sitting happy and notice that Tothan Yuan's eyes do not move from Jiang Kanha Nyan, and my son also pulls his chair. He fixes her clothes. In 5 years of marriage, Tun Hein didn't even remember my birthday, on which my friend cannot bear to see all this and gives me water. Then I tell him that I have signed the divorce. He immediately takes me home. I don't cry, but he starts crying and angrily abuses then Ewan and says that Kanam then is also ungrateful. He says that for 5 years I have been living only for them. No work, no social life. It was difficult to call me out. But as soon as you used to call the police station, I used to run home happy like a child and make soup for her. When your son used to cry while weaning, you used to keep him awake the whole night. Not for one night, but for many nights on which you put your heart and everything, and in return you get only beetle. I know you're broken inside. If you want to cry, cry, on which I turn my head after listening to my best friend. I drink a sip of beer and linger on the couch. I don't even cry anymore, but I've cried many times before when Mal pressured me to teach rules. When I used to talk to Tothan Hewen and she used to ignore, and when I used to wait for her till 12:00 at night, but she did not come home, then also I used to break down, and when Nymphin gets fever at night, I take care of him, I call him, but he disconnects the phone, on which I still keep hoping that someday he will have a relationship like a wife-husband. A caring father and a loving family, but he never looked at me. 5 years go by and I should have understood a long time ago. Then drunkenly I go into a deep sleep and the next morning I suddenly get a call from the Yunan whose voice still sounds sleepy and heavy. "Where is my necklace?" she asked. I'll answer honestly. "It's in the first dressing room." Then he asks, "Where are the earrings?" "The one I'm talking about is in the bottom drawer." After saying all this, I suddenly realize that we are going to get a divorce, and I don't have to do it all anymore. On which I remind him to get cleaned by the maid. "If you need anything further, ask them, because we are going to get a divorce soon and it is not right to make such calls." Hearing this, she laughs a little, and on the other side there is a sound of opening the drawer, on which I think I have said everything clearly and I am about to cut the call. Then she gives the order to make seafood porridge in the afternoon and send it to the company's office, and by saying this she cuts the call. On which I clearly understand that he did not listen to me at all and starts shaking my hand in anger. I immediately blocked his number. After thinking about it, I also blocked the number of Nymphin's school teacher. But by mistake, I also block Mao. On which when I go out of the house for lunch, she stops me and forces me to sit in the car. Then she throws the photo on my face, in which there are close photos of Than, Yuan, and Jiang Canyon, and angrily says that I dissuaded him. He trained me from the age of 16, but I could not win the heart of my wife. The sharp edge of the photo cuts my neck and starts bleeding. On which I remember that when I was chosen as the son-in-law, people used to be jealous of my luck, but I lost my freedom that day. Since the age of 16, I have lived only to be the perfect Koshin Singh. The pressure was so much that it was difficult to breathe. On which in the 12th I deliberately become rebellious. I am in a relationship so that this marriage breaks, but he doesn't say anything. Even though we've been married for 5 years, I've been controlling for 10 years, and now I can't stand it anymore. To which I clearly say that we have signed a divorce. I'm not taking custody and going to empty hands. If you don't like it, find another one. I get out of the car, at which Mao stops for a moment in shock and then grabs my hand. But I laugh and say I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Being a lawyer was never an honor for me. Then I pick up my sleeve and show the old scars on my wrist. To which she fearfully lets go of my hand, and I say that I never wanted to be a TNC, and for 10 years every night I cried for someone to save me, but now I understand that I have to save myself. I get out of the car. This time she doesn't stop me, but the restlessness in me still doesn't go away. On which I take out my red supercar and drive at high speed. But as soon as I cross the crossroad, my car collides with a Mercedes coming from the front whose number plate is familiar, and it is Than's car. His assistant gets down from the other car and is shocked to see me because everyone knows my fixed image that I am a work and simple man. Racing is weird for me. I'm not doing anything. I just give the insurance paper and say tell me the extent of damage and wear sunglasses and leave. The assistant goes back and tells then Ewan that I was driving the other car, to which she just coldly says, "Let's go," it doesn't matter to her. But after 3 hours we meet again when she comes to the racing track with her partner, where a red racing car wins the first position. And when the driver gets down, his tall and attractive look attracts everyone's attention, to which then Hewen herself is also impressed. But as soon as he removes the helmet, the assistant is shocked and says that this is Koshin Sinha, on whom the police station does not say anything, but seeing the eyes of the surrounding girls on him, She feels a little uncomfortable, and when I notice her eyes, even then I don't look at her because for years, whenever we meet casually, she ignores me like I'm a stranger. So when the organizers of a racing event introduce us, I also behave as if I don't know Thanon, on which people say that it was nice to meet Tatang. But she maintains a cold expression as always and the atmosphere is awestruck. That's when Jiang Canyon's voice comes. Is the job done or not? If so, let's have lunch in the company. At which I look back and see him getting out of the car. As soon as he arrives, Than grabs H. Wayne's waist. There's nobody else there, and he gives me a little smile. Like he thinks I am not even worthy to be his rival. After which both of them leave from there and the people around say that Tatong keeps Jiang Kan Nyan with her even at work. Their relationship is really good. At which his assistant looks at me with strange eyes. Just like you are thinking that there is also a useless person like me in the world. I don't say anything and go straight off the racing track. And immediately call the lawyer when the divorce certificate will be received. To which he says it will take a few more days, and I think I have waited 10 years, so 7 days and right. But my mind had just calmed down, so I got a call from the assistant of the police station, who asked when you would come with the things and said that the school teacher was saying that your phone is not reachable, and the child's handmade homework has not reached yet. On which I remember that before the talk of divorce, I was making handmade work with needle and thread for her by watching videos in the mobile, and when I left the house, it was only half done. I see the free clouds flying in the sky and directly say that the seafood porridge will not be found anymore, and I will not bring anything further, and I will not handle anything about Con Amdhan anymore, so do not contact me, and by saying this I also block the number of the assistant. On the other hand, the assistant is upset and tells the Yunan that I cut the call and now there is no contact. Maybe I've blocked him. He takes out his phone and sends me a message. What are you doing? But the next moment, a red notification comes that he is no longer on my friend list. The first request has to be sent, to which the assistant sees the chat history and notices that the last message is also a week old. Then he casually says that Jung Nayan and Sir's birthday is on the same day. That is, yesterday was also the birthday of Sir. Aren't they supposed to be gifts? On which Tun Yuan says without interest, did not pay attention. The assistant is also not surprised to hear this answer because in the chat history she never replies, but then she angrily says send a birthday gift. You'll see what's right. The assistant goes out saying madam and starts arranging gifts. In the evening, I get the same gift that his assistant brings and says that it is from Tom, on which I refuse to take it because I do not understand what is the meaning of giving a gift now. Birthday has passed, and anyway, for the last 10 years, my only wish was freedom, and now with divorce, that wish is being fulfilled anyway. To which I think we will have no connection in these 7 days. But that's the message. She says that she will not interfere in the divorce. But until the divorce is complete, his grandsons should not be affected in any way, on which I feel strange because the child himself had asked for divorce. But after that, she keeps texting that on weekends I will have to come to the main house and spend time with the child, because people don't like crowds. After we got married, we lived in a separate house. But after the baby, we used to take her to the main house every weekend, and today is Friday, on which I normally go to pick her up from school. So the police station is always busy. Don't come home before 10:00 p.m. But this time when I reach the main house, she is already there. I ignore him and go straight up. But she stops me and asks, loved the birthday gift. I look at him and understand that he doesn't even know that I didn't accept the gift, but this is also not something new as she always ignores me. I don't want to talk much and just shake my head slightly. But that's when she orders that Konamthan Jiang is making protection cam for Kan Hanayan. You go and help him do it. I am shocked to hear this. Does this condition also come with the birthday gift? On which I ignore him without saying anything and go upstairs. She looked behind her and didn't say anything. Going upstairs, I see Kunim then sitting at the desk, carving carefully with a knife, and in front of him is a ready-made char which he is copying. Hearing the sound of my steps, he looks up but immediately picks up the finished four and says it's what Mom made for Jiang uncle. You don't take it, on which my heart aches hard. The child to whom I gave more than my life is today thinking of me as a thief. on which I see him, and in his face the glimpse of Thana Uyen is clearly visible, and a bitterness rises from inside. I gently say you don't need to be afraid of me. I never tried to take anything from anyone, and anyway, your mom and I are going to get divorced soon, and Jiang uncle will be your new dad very soon. Can't show you speak directly opposite like this in front of a child. Are you still a good parent? This is probably the longest thing that Thana Un has said to me, to which I turn and look directly at his cold face. He smiles a little. Yes, I'm the bad guy, on which you find a good father for it. As soon as I say this, I move towards the door, only then Ka Yatu and To Thana Wan come forward and hold my hand, the sound of which suddenly becomes heavy and seems like a warning. But then suddenly the phone rings. Hearing which he speaks happily, Mother Uncle Jiang is making a video call. The next moment at the police station, Wayne lets go of my hand and I see him go to pick up the phone. Whose face, which was so far cold, now starts smiling. All of a sudden I feel like it's all for naught. Without saying anything, I went back to my room and closed the door. The room is quite old while it is the month of June. Still, I feel as if I am lying in a coffin buried under some cold ground. But at the same time, there is a strange sense of peace. After this, ever since I gave the divorce papers to the police station, I had made up my mind to break everything inside me. That night was very scary. But the next day also my body clock gives me space at 5:00 in the morning. Earlier, I used to get up at this time and prepare breakfast for Thanon and his son, on which I shrink my chest, and then remembering the threat of the mother, I decide to go down. But on coming down, it is found that Tathan H. Nathan Hone and Connie Amthan had already gone out in the morning. It is heard that he has gone to see sunrise with Young Ka Neon, and I find it all very funny. Anyone who is sane can see that the child does not need me. My mother, however, called me home. On which I just think that this weekend has to bear equanimity. After that, my best friend takes me to college. He says that he spends time with some beautiful girls to fix the mood. The 18-year-old girls there know how to make those people happy who give emotional value by saying Baya Arsunona every day. After a few days of hanging out with them, my mood was really much better, to which my friend teases me saying, "What happened? I showed you the world. Now I know how amazing these girls are." Does he still love an old woman like Thana Hyen? The one I'm talking about directly is over. Hearing this, he gets more excited and says, "That's right, you should have divorced long ago. Who wouldn't want a cute little girl? Instead of that cold-hearted To Thana Huen, you will get married to a good obedient girl and life will be set." I laughed and agreed with him, and then there's the sound of coughing from behind, on which when he looks back, the police station is standing with his assistant. I ignore him and start taking my friend along, but this time he stopped me. "There's a party you have to go to with me." Saying this, she pulls me straight into the car without giving me a chance. Even sitting in the car, I am a little confused because in my memories she always used to ignore me, like I don't do it. But it was only in the bedroom that I first saw his dominating behavior. Then she suddenly speaks, "In a family like ours, compatibility is more important than love." To which I stop for a few seconds. Then he understands that she is responding to something from my friend. I laugh out loud at that. So love doesn't matter. Also, care is not necessary. Just to be compatible according to you means that I endure everything quietly. He stood looking at me for a few seconds, but he says nothing. I don't even try to understand his feelings anymore. After this, when we reach the club, we get to know that it is just a gathering of his friends. She had never brought me to such a place before, and to be honest, I don't like her friends at all because she always lets me down. Puppet says, "So the whole time I just sit quietly and drink a little wine and later go to the washroom when there is a little intoxication. As soon as I get out, someone asks from behind, 'Today your husband is not smiling or listening to you. What's the matter?' On which the other says, 'Outside, everyone is saying that you are going to get a divorce.' On which the police station speaks directly, 'Who said I want to get a divorce? Once you get married, you will be my husband for the rest of my life.' Everyone is stunned on hearing this. To which a friend says, 'You are serious,' but she just looks at him, doesn't say anything. Then the same friend says that Jiang director's wife had also ignored her husband. The company did not even let him come in and could not get him back till today. If you want to be with this person, learn to be a little careful. Otherwise, the same will happen to you." To which she simply says in a cold tone he won't do it. At the same time, I get a message from the lawyer in the washroom. Mr. Cointor, your divorce certificate is ready. You can come anytime. As soon as I hear this, I immediately take a taxi to the lawyer's office and keep looking at that certificate again and again. Because today I am finally free from this hell-like family. After this, my friend takes me to a street food market for the celebration. Barbecue, ice cream, and coffee are all available. He talks about what he eats. Between the smell of food and the smoke, I feel the test of life for the first time. And that night we drink beer, laughing loudly, and finally my laughter turns into tears, because the pressure of 10 years was finally over. Maybe it's been stuck for a long time. On which I call my son by taking Nympton's number out of the blacklist. As soon as the phone is connected, I speak with tears in my eyes. Whether you like me or not, I am your real father. I took care of you when you were sick. I also taught you. But the day you called me bad for an outsider for Jiang Kanhanayan is no longer your father, and don't you call me father either. You don't deserve it. On which the cold voice of Tathan Hein is heard from the other side of the phone. What are you talking about? Hearing this, I pause for a moment and realize that the child is with him, to which I immediately laugh tauntingly. So, madam, if you have time to teach me, take care of your son properly. Do you know your son tells me to divorce you and leave the place for Jiang Kanhanayan? What I'm going to talk about next funny thing is, I have fulfilled all your wishes. Saying this, I again put Nympton's number in the blacklist. After this, the next morning I book a direct flight abroad because I know that yesterday I became a little more emotional, and as soon as the matter of divorce comes out, the family will not leave me at all. Maybe force me to my knees and ask me to marry Tathan Hein again, or try to fix my marriage in another rich family. On which I decide that I have to run away from this city and never come back. After saying goodbye to friends, I pack my things and leave the house. But as soon as he reaches the door, he sees the car of the hen standing in front, from which he gets down with Nympton and comes towards me. To which she tells the child to apologize to his father. Hearing this, the child lowers his small face. He takes hold of his clothes and speaks softly to his father. I scolded you. I was wrong to say that you and your mother should get divorced. Do excuse me, on which I speak calmly. There is no need to apologize. All I had to do was leave. There is nothing left now, but as soon as I say this, the police station itself has to speak. I didn't teach him well, and that's my fault too. I'm a little shocked to hear this because I've never seen him apologize to himself. But can an apology fix all the damage that has been done? Meanwhile, I remember that I have one thing that I was originally going to courier from the airport. To which he simply says, Tona Hein, if you really have a guilt, let me leave the airport. Where are you going? He asks, and he answers, can I have no work of my own? Hearing this, she looks a little confused for the first time, but I don't pay attention to her because she put me in this cage and now she has to send me out of here. After this, both of us keep quiet all the way, and before reaching the airport, I give him a small box. This is the last gift, on which she stops a little. But still she takes it and speaks softly, thank you. What is it for me, you ask? What I say to you is also in you. Then I speak further to open it after 1 hour. After that she tells me in a rare way to come back soon, to which I just smile. Doesn't say anything and turns away because I know now I'll never come back. I need to find my freedom. So Han keeps looking at my back and a strange feeling rises in his heart. On which she immediately wants to open the box, but Conimthan stops her. Mother, we have promised to open it after an hour. After that she cannot focus on anything for 1 hour. She keeps looking at that box again and again, and finally when the time is over, Ko Nim then quickly opens the box. What's in it? As soon as the box opens, the police station turns around and sees that only a divorce certificate is kept inside. The child looks at her and asks what is it? And it had to be a gift. At which Tun Huan's mind becomes completely blank. She immediately snatches the box and her hands start trembling. The red certificate kept inside looks like a person who was always at home but who was always ignored. At which a sudden fear arises in her heart and she opens it by taking a deep breath. As soon as she sees her and Ko Yantu's name in it, her eyes widen and she closes them tightly. After that she called me right away. But remember, I could be on a flight. At which she angrily calls the assistant. Now find out where he has gone and bring him back immediately. Then she speaks further and also find out who made this divorce certificate. How is it possible without an agreement, without a court? There is fear and anger in his voice. He can't comprehend it, on which the assistant on the other hand gets scared because he had never seen her like this. After that, he wanders around the office. Her ignorance increases and finally she sends me a message with a friend request. What is all this? You're not a child. Why are you making such a fuss? Then she writes, replying after landing, you and I are both worried about you. After a while, she writes again, if there is any problem, we can sit and talk. You didn't have to do that. You're not a child. But all his messages went unanswered. At which she gets tired and sits on the chair and holds her head. So the rule is still playing silently with the block on one side. Just then, he raises his little face and innocently asks, Ma, does this gift papa mean that he wants to divorce you? Hearing this, as if something gets stuck in Hind's chest, she is not able to breathe properly or swallow. The words of his friends begin to echo in his ears again and again. After a long time, she hardly speaks, Koyantu, are you really completely disconnected from me? At the same time, the wait is getting longer, so Than Yuan looks at the clock again and again. Messages are sent repeatedly, but there is no response and a strange feeling rises in his heart. She thought everything was fine, we've been together for so long. Then suddenly it happened that he took divorce and went away without saying anything. And then suddenly the phone rings. Hearing which she immediately picks it up without looking at it and says someone, now you have got time to call. Why didn't I reply? But after a few seconds of silence, there is a voice. So ma'am, I am speaking as an assistant. As she listens, she looks at her phone, and the little energy that was returned is also lost. To which she speaks in a low voice, pressing her head. Sorry, I was a little quick to respond. Got some news, on which the assistant hesitates and speaks. We have found out, it is said that today sir has taken a flight abroad, but after landing his voice gradually decreases. Hearing this, Tothan Uyan's face darkens, and after a long time she asks in a loud voice what happened to the divorce certificate, to which the assistant answers that the G agreement was signed by sir himself. The verification department has checked that everything is correct. Hearing this, he got filled with rage. What do you mean it's all right? The assistant quickly explained that sir did not take any of your property. He has also changed the joint assets from his share to all in the name of Nymphin and called it child support. He didn't even ask for it. Hearing this, the assistant himself panics because he had never seen such a clean divorce where no one takes anything and just goes quietly. Meanwhile, the phone got disconnected. He sits with the phone in his hand for a long time. I don't understand how a marriage that seemed so stable suddenly fell apart. To which she gently asks herself, what did you end up being dissatisfied with? Just then the door of the study room opens a little and Kanamithan comes in. I asked Uncle Jiang, divorce means I will get a new father, so you should marry Uncle Jiang soon. I want to make him a new father. Hearing this, Tothan Hyun is very upset. And for the first time she speaks in anger. Don't say such things ever again, you only have one, there's nothing new. At which the child gets scared and cries saying, I want a new father, I don't want the old one, they're just like nannies. Hearing this, the anger of the police department increased. Who taught you all this? He understands that a 3-year-old child cannot speak all this by himself. Someone must have put this in his mind, but who runs away in anger, I don't like my mother. If you don't give me a new father, I won't come home, so the police should stop it. Just then the phone rings and this time it is the call of Jiang Kanhanayan, at which she pauses for a second and picks up the call, leaving her son. Jiang Kanhanayan's voice comes as he picks up the phone. Then I heard that you and someone else are getting a divorce. Is it true or is it a child's story? On which she talks tiredly is a misunderstanding. I won't give up. Is there any other work? To which he says, today we were going to take Nymphin to the amusement park to see the firewalls. When you disappeared, he asked. To which she says, sorry, I forgot, I'll go next time. After keeping the phone, he finds out that Kanamithan has disappeared. But she does not pay much attention because there are so many servants in the house that she thinks the child will be safe. But soon it turns out that the child has really disappeared. The CCTV only shows that he went out alone. Seeing this, Tothan Uyan starts searching for her all over the city, but he's nowhere to be found. He calls me often. But it's the same thing every time. The number you're calling is switched off. Finally, she pulls out my friend's number and calls. Hello, I'm talking to you. Has anyone contacted you? If yes, then tell him to talk to me immediately because Nymphin has disappeared due to his divorce. If there is even one father's responsibility left in it, he will have to come back immediately. But he's not done yet, on which my friend suddenly becomes impatient and loudly interrupts him in the middle. If the child goes missing, report it to the police. What is the benefit of searching for a yin? Is she telepathically connected to that child? Who will track his exact location as soon as he comes back and immediately teleport to that ungrateful child? And then she also speaks that the child disappeared because of the divorce, hearing which he immediately retorts that this divorce was due to your compulsion or not. And it was right to divorce anyway because you and that ungrateful child are both not good. Then the phone was switched off. But at the same time it starts happening again, on which it is revealed that the call is from Jiang Kan Nyan. So Thanhan quickly picks up the call, but all she hears is someone trying to kidnap Nim then. Leave it be careful, on which suddenly the call is cut off. Upon hearing this, Than Hyen immediately sends people to track Jiang Kan Nyan's phone signal. And then when they reach the location, they see that both Jiang Kanyan and Kanimthan are lying unconscious. On the slope along the highway, there are many scratches on the body of Jiang Kan Hanyan. His condition is very bad, but he still has Nimthan tightly protected in his arms and the baby just has a little bit of dirt on his face. The rest of him does not get any injury, seeing which every person present there becomes emotional. On which Tothan Uyan's hands, which are loose on the side, are slowly tightened and then loose, and she first sends both of them to the ambulance. Then the flashing red sees the blue lights go away, and finally tells her assistant to get the full details of what Jiang Kaianian had been doing for the past few days. Hearing this, the assistant is a little shocked at first. But then he realizes that the boss had not been able to find young Master Nimthan even after searching all over the city. So how did Jiang Kanhanayan find out? And then he thinks that despite having so many servants, how can a 3-year-old child go out without anyone knowing? And if it was a kidnap, why did the kidnappers not ask for a ransom but leave the child on the highway? On which it is clear that after so many years of business experience, then how will Thana H. Wayne not do such obnoxious things? Then very soon he gets proof that the mastermind of this kidnapping is Jiang Kannayan himself. On which she remains silent for a long time with the documents in hand and then takes back the case file from the police station. After this, he says that do not let this thing go out. Remove all the impurities. I don't want any third person to know about it, and it will be said outside that Young Chan Nyan saved Neem then. Hearing this, the assistant is completely shocked because he does not understand whether the boss is protecting his own son's kidnapper. But before he can understand anything, Thanhan disappears at the end of the hospital corridor. Then she opens the door of the patient's room, where Jiang Kan Nyan is sitting on the bed. His face seems to be grim. She looks at him and there is a slight gleam in her eyes, on which Jiang Kanhanayan with a slight cough asks in V's voice, how is Nyamthan? Is that okay? He's still so young. All of this can be a big deal for him. And then he blames Yan Tu that he left without thinking. He did not even care for his child, and there is no such irresponsible father in the world. After saying this, he tries to get up. But as soon as he passes by the police station Oyen, she catches him and stops him. To which she says in a cold tone that others do not need to decide whether there is a good father or not. Hearing this, Jiang Kanha looks up at Nyan, and seeing then Ayan's cold expression, the stunt stops for a moment. Because the face that was always gentle for him now looks completely cold and scary. Then he emotionally says that they have a relationship of so many years, how can he be an outsider? And then softly speaks that he was simply seduced by anxiety. But the kidnapping was really shocking, and he has been seeing Nimthan since childhood. That's why he feels so bad for her. On which Thanjian's hands are again tightened and her eyes are filled with coldness, and she directly asks that if he considers her so bad and scary, then why did he kidnap Nim then and create this fake drama? Hearing this, Jiang Kanyan's face stiffens and he becomes innocent and says what he is talking about. But it doesn't explain anything. Just the disappointment is clearly visible in her eyes, and she says that the proof she has already destroyed and now she should never come in front of him or Yan too. After this, she says that she will send him abroad and also settle his future life. But he never came back. Saying this, he leaves. But Jiang Kanha Nyan grabs him from behind and says don't leave him. If he has done something wrong, he can change because he has been together for so many years. But the police station is not at all affected and starts removing him by holding his hand. He asks her to marry him. He then justifies that he was just in a hurry and he just wants to marry the person he loves, and he also says that he will adopt Niam Thon as well. Hearing this, Tothan Uyen shakes her hand and tells Cold Ice that the person he loves should have been her dead sister. To which he immediately says that he always loved her because she was with him for so many years. She cared for him. She used to remember him till his birthday and used to come out as soon as she called him. Hearing this, suddenly something breaks inside the police station, and she retreats and says that she did what she did only to fulfill her sister's last wish, and that she has no romantic feelings for her, and the question of marriage does not arise. After this, she says that she will be arranged to go abroad today and she should leave immediately and then without looking back. She goes out of the room and then the scene shifts in Finland, where I am completely unaware of all this. I get a residence permit and apply for admission to the local university so that I can fulfill my dream and become a diplomatic translator. After this, before admission, I buy a small house from my savings. It is said that the aurora is also seen there in winter. Thinking of which I feel excited and very hopeful about my independent life because now I can control my own time. I'm learning the Finnish language. At the same time, I'm learning French, German, and Spanish. And then in the second year of university, I get selected in a special training program for international students. I am constantly juggling between my studies and work. After that, I remember my past. My marriage with and the then becomes a distant memory. And here at this place, I am just myself, a completely independent individual. Then in the fifth year in Finland, I successfully get a job at the embassy, and I become a diplomatic translator. But I never knew that in these 6 years, Thana Hyen would never have stopped looking for me. After this, the assistant in the CEO office of the tow group gets excited and says that the tow boss has got the news about Sir. She is currently in the Finnish embassy, at which the police station immediately stands up and happiness is seen on her face after a long time. Seeing this, the assistant is also shocked because she had never seen the boss smile in the last 6 years, and even after signing big contracts after divorce, she would never smile like this. At which the Tothan Uyen starts to go out. But after reaching the door, she turns back and says that I want her current details. Arrange immediately on hearing which the assistant immediately starts working. After this, a wave of happiness keeps rising in her heart and she cannot stop herself. A slight smile comes to her face and her eyes go to the family photo of 3 people on the desk, where she lightly touches his picture and gently says that she will definitely end the misunderstanding and bring him back to her. On the other hand, I never try to find out how Tothan and Ko Nyamthan are now because I think they might have found the husband and father they wanted. After this, my daily life is spent in attending international conferences and translating documents, and my life is busy as well as stable. Then one day my leader gives me a new energy project file in Chinese language, and he puts that file in front of me and says that your working ability is the best in our department, and this project is very important for Finland Trade Promotion Bureau. So you complete it quickly. On which I look at the thick project file and smile confidently and say that, sir, do not take tension. I will definitely complete it. But as soon as I open the file, I realize that it is a group project. Seeing this, the image of Toth and Heen's family comes to my mind again, on which I work myself with a deep breath and think that their project is spread all over the world. So coming to Finland is not a big deal. Maybe it's just a coincidence. After this, I wake up several nights in a row, translate the project, and then knock on the door of the boss's office with the completed file, on which he repeatedly shakes his head after seeing some pages and praises me that I am really talented. But I know his nature that when he praises more, something is definitely going to work. Still, it's nice to hear good things because many colleagues get caught up in this, on which I directly say that, sir, tell me the work directly, don't pay too much. Otherwise, my confidence will skyrocket. Hearing this, he says that the group is going to come to Finland soon for energy project inspection, and the Finnish side is also taking it very seriously. Then he says that this time I have assigned you the work of diplomatic translation, and at the same time casually speaks that balance is also important in life, and you are still single and the representative of the two groups is a young, talented person, so both of you should interact. Hearing this, there is a sudden jolt in my heart, and I start thinking whether it will be Thana Oyen. But then I explain to myself that such a coincidence would probably not happen. After this, when the representative of the tow group reaches Finland, the boss takes me to the airport and on the way says that the Finland side has arranged dinner for them and there is no need to be more formal. You're translating easily. Then he says that he will introduce me to the representative of the tow group, and as soon as he finishes this thing, he calls someone behind me by waving his hand and saying that the tow boss is here, on which he grabs me and brings me in front of him. And at that time I am completely stunted, because even after 6 years' time does not affect him, and he seems to be working and silent as before. Then the boss takes me forward, and I introduce with a smile that this is Yatu from the translation department of the Finland embassy, and he will handle your translation in this trip. After this, he jokingly says that our son is not only handsome but also knows 5 languages, on which Thanon keeps looking at me constantly. Curiosity and some complicated emotions are seen in his eyes. I raise my hand politely and say in a formal tone that the boss is happy to meet you, to which she looks at me for a few seconds and then gently shakes hands. But I want to finish the handshake quickly. He doesn't let go of my hand. I try to get my hands on it twice. And then I ask, what does that mean? Seeing this, the leader standing on the side understands the situation and jokingly says that the charm of our translator is such that anyone will be impressed. Perhaps the boss is no exception. To which Tun Huen's eyes darken a little, and she gives a slight occurred smile and then leaves my hand. Then dinner starts, and I don't pay much attention to that because for me it's just a formal interaction and she's not here for me. Then I take charge of myself and sit next to him and keep translating every sentence, on which she sits in an elegant posture and turns her face towards me while listening carefully. As I watch this, I pause for a moment, because in the 5 years of our marriage, he had never listened to me so carefully, on which a little pain arises in me. But it's not about him, it's about you. Because in those years, my body is imprisoned under the label of the family's son-in-law and my soul has lost its freedom. Now I'm finally getting out of it. Just then, Thana Huen's voice is heard again and she keeps asking about Finland's tax system and labor law. Her voice is slow and steady, and after every sentence, she silently looks at me. Her eyes are deep and focused, on which I instinctively avoid his eyes and keep doing my work while being fully professional. And this is how today's dinner meeting is completed smoothly. After this, when we leave, I tighten my scarf according to the weather of Finland. I put on my gloves and casually shake hands with Than Oyen and say, "So the boss's presentation was good." As I say this, I turn around. But as soon as I open the door of the car, she calls me by name from behind, at which I stop but don't look back and silently wait for his next words. Then the cold wind blows and my fingers start to feel a little numb. Just then her voice comes again and she asks if I have nothing to say to her. There's a slight tinge of surprise in his voice. My heart skips a beat for a moment, but I explain to myself that it's just because of the cold night in Finland. And I say calmly that I have completed the translation that was there in the boss dinner, and I don't have anything else to say, but he didn't want me to leave, and there is a bit of urgency in his usual work voice. And she says that Yantu you divorced without telling at that time. Didn't you even think about the feelings of Niyam then? And now it's been 6 years. He is 9 years old. Don't you remember him? I shudder to hear this. And without changing the expression, with a slight smile, I say that a child who ignores his father's sacrilege, what is worth remembering. And then sarcastically I say that now maybe he will be very happy because he will have got a new father. On which the snow particles keep falling on the shoulder of Thanha Uyen and she looks at me with confusing eyes. Then slowly Sai walks towards me and says in a rare soft tone that Nimtha never ignored your sacrilege. He was so young and didn't know how to love. And then she says she doesn't have a new father. Only you can be his father. At which I see his face and a little smile comes from inside. Then I jokingly say that loving someone does not depend on age and that you and Ko Nimthan used to remember Jiang Kan Nyan's birthday. If you used to make gifts for her, then you both come to love. You just didn't love me. After this, I look at her by the car and think that if I was still her husband, would she stand in front of me like this and let me speak so much? And then I laugh at myself. He asks me why I'm laughing. But I don't care about his looks and say it's normal to laugh if something looks funny. Then I clearly say that whether we have divorced or not, there is no relationship between us, that we remember the past, and you know very little about me, and I am also not interested in remembering things associated with you. Saying this, I ignore his hesitation and leave the place in the car. After reaching home, I take a shower, and as soon as I lie down on the bed, I feel extreme tardiness and soon fall asleep. But in the night, suddenly there is a loud barking sound of the neighbor's dog, on which my sleep opens up and I work on myself with deep breath. Then I go to the window wearing a jacket, and there I see that Suan is still standing outside my house wearing the same black dress. I don't know how he got my address. The temperature is minus in the cold night of Finland, and looking at her clothes, it seems that if she stays out all night, by morning she will become an ice statue. I don't understand what he wants. But still, I open the door and call him inside because I don't want him to die outside my house. After this, near the fireplace, I give her a cup of coffee, and she is so cold that her body trembles uncontrollably and slowly becomes normal by holding the cup with both hands, and then she smiles at me and says thank you, to which I observe a little because she rarely smiled in front of me. Most of the time, his expression was cold. And then I ask myself, what does she really want? At which she looks down and the ice on her eyelashes slowly melts and her voice trembles a little, and she asks why we got divorced. Hearing this, I look at her and she also looks at me. There is real confusion in his eyes, but the emotions inside me get confused. Then I realize that our 5-year marriage never existed for her. To which I take a deep breath and regress inwardly as to why I let him in. Then she takes my name after agitation, which I find strange because she is calling me so seriously for the first time. That too after 6 years of divorce, on which I look at him with sarcastic eyes and say that, so Thonan, did you ever think that you can also be responsible for this divorce? Hearing this, her face becomes stiff and there is confusion in her eyes because she has always lived a privileged life and controls everything easily. He never cared about the things around him. To which I think I'm probably one of those few people who gets out of his control, and suddenly my eyes get a little moist. But I'm taking care of myself right away. Then I tell Kamli that before the divorce, I had told her many times that if she and Niam liked Than Jangan, then I am ready for divorce and will also leave the custody of Niam Than and give our joint property to her. Transfer the name of Niam then and consider me as a father who is not welcome. Leave all this and accept money for the upbringing of the child. I am saying this clearly in every speech. At which point I look at Tothan Uyen and ask, do you remember? On which the hand of Tun Yuan, who is holding the cup, suddenly becomes tight. Her eyebrows shrink as if she's trying to remember. But the confusion that appears in his eyes clearly tells that he does not remember anything. On which I already know this result because she never seriously listened to me as a husband. And at that time I was just a partner. To which Tothan Huan leans her head and her voice is full of guilt and regrets. Sorry, I don't really remember what you said. At the time, maybe I was, but is this the reason you divorced me? I really can't accept a reason that I ask directly. So what about the perfume that smelled on your clothes every night when you came home? Isn't that enough for divorce? Hearing this, Tothan Huan's face freezes and she tries to catch the contradiction in my words. But he still shakes his head in disbelief. Because of Jayan Kanhanayan, you divorced me, on which the shock in her voice increases even more, as if that makes him feel even more uncomfortable, while my child just shakes his head while drinking coffee in a cold way. Yes, every day Tum Jong Kanha came home with the smell of Nyan, and Niam Than always wanted Uncle Jiang to be his new dad. Then I say, can I still be shameless and remain the son-in-law of this family, which I never wanted? To which Tun Huan's face is completely pale for the first time and she asks, then you suspect me of cheating, to which I raise a finger and shake it in front of her. That's not in doubt. When you take Jiang Kanha Nyan to every event without any hesitation and introduce her to others, when your friends make fun of me and say that you two are more compatible, and when you quickly sign the divorce papers to go to her without looking at it, it doesn't matter whether you cheated or not. Then let me make it clear that I divorced you because I did not want to keep myself imprisoned in the role of the useless son-in-law of this Sioux family anymore. It was a cage where there was a wife named Tothenhine Bus, and even I could never accept it from my heart, on which Tun Ian's eyelashes tremble lightly and she cannot speak for a long time. Maybe he didn't expect me to say all this, or maybe he never cared about my feelings. She just wanted a chance to understand her failure. But for me, it's all unnecessary because she likes Jiang Kanhanayan. She remembers his birthday, create gifts and gifts. He knows all her preferences, she loves him, so a failure like mine will not happen again in her future marriage. And then I look at the time. It's 4:30 in the morning and I'm tired. To which I say, Tatang, what you wanted to know must have been clear. Now please go back, I need to rest. On which I do not even complete my point that suddenly a clear and serious voice comes out, due to which I remain a stunt for a while and even the things stuck in my throat are not able to come out. So the police station looks at me without blinking. I'm sorry, I didn't know that the small things I didn't pay attention to hurt you so much, it's my fault. I'm sorry, on which I feel a little funny to hear this because it was probably possible for me to hear an apology from a Thani who always considers himself to be the highest. But then she says, cutting my thinking, but there is one thing I don't agree with. I didn't cheat, and I don't like Jiang Kanha Anyan at all. I take care of her only to fulfill my sister's last wish. And when people call him my husband, I don't correct him, because if my sister was alive, she would really be her husband. To which I say in a cold way, it doesn't matter anymore. Hurt looks clear in her eyes when she hears this, but she immediately says, no, this is very important. In the 6 years since you left, Nymphin and I have missed you so much. I want us to end the misunderstandings between us and you come back home. At which for a moment I think she's joking. I struggled for freedom for 10 years and now she is asking me to return to the same family. I couldn't stop myself and started laughing. Again, there's a look of amusement on his face. He doesn't understand why I'm laughing. On which I wipe tears from the corner of my eyes. I work by taking deep breaths. And I said, are you kidding me? I've hardly divorced you. Now I have my own career. Why should I come back? And what will I do in the end? Then I speak further whether I will again run for you like a nanny. Every day I go to your company and make you happy by giving you some stupid food porridge. If you want to fulfill your sister's last wish, take care of Jiang Kanhanayan. I don't need to get into that. Because I am not indebted to your sister, nor to Jiang Kanhanayan, nor to you. There's something else he wanted to say, but I reach the door and force it open. Cold air and snow starts coming in and I say, get out. Don't make me say it a second time. At which point Tunheim finally leaves and I fall on the bed. But I can't sleep even when I'm tired. I was awake the entire night. Then I take care of myself in the morning and go to my translation work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But as soon as I reach the office, I see my boss standing in front of me who gently says, Yantu, even though you have not spent much time here, your work attitude is very good and your ability is also strong. This time Sioux Group wants to start a new energy project in Finland, which is beneficial for the relations of the two countries. Which he goes on to say the leaders of Finland want to come to our country with Tong on this occasion, and there is currently a shortage of an accompanying translate. I recollect your name. This time you will go back to the country representing our ministry. It's been almost 6 years since you went abroad. Bring your family for this occasion. Hearing this, I burst out in laughter, but inside my heart was pounding. I think it's all because of the police. He is creating so many problems, after which I stand up with a slight smile. Madam, don't worry, I will definitely complete the task. After saying this the same afternoon, I start returning to the country in a private jet with the UN and the inspection team. I don't know who arranged the seating. There is only an armrest distance between me and Than Human. At which I press my eyes in fatigue and turn away. I don't even want to look at him. We didn't sleep the whole night. However, there is no grin on his face. After a while, a soft and thick blanket is suddenly put on me, on which the police station Wayan adjusts it very carefully. You don't want to wake me up, but I'm not going to sleep. I just want to see him. For me, she was once a person I adored and admired from the core of my heart, but it was also a turning point for me. From the moment we signed the divorce papers, our relationship was completely over. But I did not expect that as soon as I got off the plane, I would see the person who now has only blood relations. Nymphin stands in the waiting area holding the hand of his grandmother who is now 9 years old, and his eyes are red with crying. As soon as he sees me, he shouts loudly, at which the leaders of the inspection team look at each other confused and someone gently asks what is happening. To which I say with a chuckle, this child is probably estranged from his father. On which Tathan Huan, standing next to him, says in a low voice, then he understands the Finnish language. Sonium Thon tries to run towards me, but his grandmother catches him and stops him, and the lady takes him away from there while maintaining her image. On which it is clear that she did not come to meet us. Maybe she wanted to use the rule to get me to do something, but now I have no reason to believe him. After this, for a few days, the visit of the group with the Finland delegation goes on smoothly because in terms of work, the police station never makes a mistake. But as soon as the inspection is over, it comes directly to me, would you like to go home with me and meet Niam Than? He misses you so much. I say this in a low voice, miss me, I was just the father of the name. He did not like me before and now I have disappeared for 6 years, so he should hate me more, I'll say it again then. Anyway, he likes Jiang Kanha Nyan to be his dad, so you marry him. With this, your wish will also be fulfilled and your future husband will also take care of the child. At which the police officer takes a long breath and gets tired. Are we supposed to be talking about this? I say, looking directly into his eyes, if you don't like it, we don't talk. Having said that, I pick up my luggage and head straight back to the hotel, because there is no family to go back to. After this, I get to know that my best friend is also in the country, on which my mood becomes good and I immediately go out to meet him. As soon as he sees her, his eyes light up. He held my hand, turned to look at me, and then hugged me tightly. Now you look like your real self. We meet after 6 years. Today there will be many things on which we spend hours talking, but all of a sudden my phone rings. There is an unknown number on which I haggle for a while, and then I pick up the call. A voice comes from the other side. Hello, do you have a father? I'm talking about his class teacher. She had a fight with a boy at school. I called my mother. But he said that I should contact you, on which my friend gets irritated and snatches the phone and says there is a wrong number and disconnects the call. Then he says to me, is the police station mad? Both of you are divorced, you don't even have custody and you have just returned. All this is being done deliberately, but the phone didn't stop ringing, I'm calling again. And this time there is urgency in the teacher's voice, who is your father? Please come to school. Problems of adults should not affect the mental growth of children. He also smashed a child's head. The parents in front are calling you to take her to the hospital. My friends and I immediately rushed to the school, where many children stand in the teacher's office. All of them have friends, but no one is behind it, at which the injured child's parent catches him and screams in anger. Why are you so finicky? Your father didn't teach you not to kill anyone. It does not even end that the other children also start laughing and one child speaks loudly that he does not have a father. Hearing this, Nymphin's eyes turn red and he angrily rushes to fight again like a little wolf. It is clear that he has been given proper martial arts training. But the child in front has the support of the parents, and then suddenly I see him at the door. His eyes fill up instantly, but he cuts his lips and stops the tears. He turns his face away and stands up, on which I do not care about his attitude and go inside and say calmly while looking at everyone. I am the biological father of Nymphin, but I'm divorced from her mother and I don't have custody of her. If you want to talk about compensation, then contact the UN for its help. Hearing this, Con Nymphin looks up in shock but immediately nods his head. Tears come to his eyes and he tries to hide them, on which I feel strange because this same child used to tell me to get a divorce from my mother earlier and now he himself is crying. As soon as Tathan Uyan's name comes up, the rest of the parents look at each other, and their attitude immediately softens because his name is always at the top of the financial news, and there will be very few people who do not know him. There is no such problem for him. Even if it does not come on its own, it can be easily solved. But he purposely pushed it towards me. Maybe she thinks that this will awaken the fatherly feeling inside me. Has she forgotten that love should always be from both sides? This goes on in my mind. Just then a parent tells me that the father of Conamthan may have divorced Tong, but the child has killed someone. You have to give us an explanation. To which I shake my head slightly and my eyes go to Nymphin. Why did you fight against him? Don't say anything. What I'm saying in a cold tone, if you don't want to talk, wait for your mother to arrive. I don't have much time to spend with you. I don't even end up saying that he suddenly flares up, as if a small animal has been bitten. I don't have a father, now you're happy, and then she screams. Why isn't Mommy Jiang married to Kan Hanayan? He's not like you, those who left me. I hate you for letting him yell at me, and then I say a little bit even when your mother and I were together, you wanted Jiang Kan Hanayan to be your father. Now that we're divorced, I don't care if you make anyone your father, at which the parents standing nearby start talking to each other. Their voices are clear. Such a small child and provokes his parents to divorce. His father didn't want him to. And someone says he is Jiang Kanhanian. I have seen him with Tong at events. I thought he was her husband. He was the third person. These things fall into Nymphthen's ears, and he is unable to stop himself due to being in the rebellion age. He tries to run away but stops after a few steps. On which suddenly the police station comes in with assistants and bodyguards. His face is completely disfigured, but her presence is so heavy that the whole office becomes quiet and she looks at everyone with cold eyes and asks what is happening here. No one is saying anything about it, and who bows his head in fear. He doesn't even dare to breathe. I casually look at him and say it's good you came. As the guardian, you must handle this matter. I'm going. With that, I leave. Even if they call me from behind. To which my friend looks at me and speaks angrily, why are you bothered about that naughty child? You also know that when you went, he was insisting on making Jiang Canyon his new father. So Thanon slapped him and he left the house and ran away. Almost got kidnapped. Jiang Canyon had saved him. The bond between the two is very strong. That's where my friends and I go straight, and I forgot about school. But when both of us go out drunk, we find Thanjian and Ko Nymphthen standing in front of us. She's been waiting outside for a long time holding his hand, and there's a slight emotion in her eyes when she sees me. We need to talk. I know his nature. So I don't want to waste time, on which I send my friend with a cab and sit in his car myself. Kanam then sits in the front seat, and I sit in the back with an Hwan, at which the atmosphere inside the car becomes so heavy that the sound of the driver swallowing can be heard. After a while, the car stops in front of a restaurant. The waiter comes to open the door, but Thanian himself opens the door first. To which I ignore his hand and walk out. This is the same restaurant I booked for my birthday 6 years ago. That's what I invited him to. But she didn't come, but on the same day she had booked the entire restaurant for Jiang Kanhanayan, and I didn't even get to eat a single meal. And now after 6 years she is arranging all this for me. But now I don't need these things. I'm talking straight when I sit down. Say what you have to say directly, but let me make it clear first. There will be no transfer of custody or remarriage. On which he remained silent for a while. You want to say something, but stop. And he looks at me. His eyes were red as if he was crying. But now I don't get disturbed by his habit of crying. Then finally Tothan Hein says, if you didn't like me, why did you marry me? I always thought we were the perfect match and you were the most suitable son-in-law. There is a slight pain in his eyes, but I get lost in the cold memories of my past. You don't know that I was a top student since childhood, but I didn't like studying. From the age of 16, your family chose me to train me to become their son-in-law. I'll say it again then. I protested against this arrangement. Early got into a relationship and I was sent to reform school. I was kept there till the time of our marriage. I speak in a cold voice. I don't want to forget those memories. That's why I never wanted to be your husband, not before, not now. Then I say that I have always dreamt of a happy family. But your family itself broke it, and I understood that family is a cage. If I don't leave, I will be imprisoned for the rest of my life. Now I have a new life of my own, and all you have to do is not disturb me. When I say this, I get up. Then I say the last one, and I've hated this restaurant since that night 6 years ago. By saying this, I go out without giving them a chance to say anything. A voice cries from behind him, I didn't know you had so much, but if you ever wanted a happy married life, does that mean you ever liked me? And if so, can we do it again? I don't look back and I don't have an answer. But in the afternoon of the next day, suddenly my father, whom I had not met for a long time, he comes to me. A smile shines on his face and he is happy. Where were you all these years? I didn't have a phone at home. On which I see his graying hair and do not understand what is going on in my heart. The man who used to control me earlier seems to be bowing down to me today. And I realize that my past wasn't as edgy as I thought. And then I say it in a cold way, say what you have to say directly, there's no need to talk. The man probably doesn't expect me to speak in such a sharp tone, at which the smile of his face becomes very stiff and he cannot even handle his expression. When the father comes this time, he says there is no special work. I just came to think that if you have not come home for so many years, can you now come home and have a meal together? To which he further says that nowadays Subos is paying a lot of attention to our house, and he can clearly see that he still has feelings for me. Then he says that earlier when there was a divorce, I took the decision without talking to the family. And this time when I have come back then, why not both the families sit and talk, with which he also reminds that my marriage was fixed with Sudong since I was 16 years old. Hearing this, I understood what he meant, on which my smile becomes even colder and I ask if he wants to say that Su Qingxua and I should get married again. To which the father immediately nods his head and his clever eyes are again filled with planning. I look at it and smile a little. What has the family promised him this time? A project, or a project? Then I clearly say that if the G family can survive only by selling their son, then it is better to close the bank quickly. Hearing me say this, the smile on his face completely disappears and he speaks angrily that I have become very tough by staying out for a few years. And now I'm talking to my dad. To which he further angrily says that if a useless person had not told Feng Mei that he had sent me to that academy, Su Qingxua would not have suddenly withdrawn the investment, and the market value of Go Company would not have fallen by half in a single night. He then insists that no matter what happens today, I must go with him and meet Su Qingxua, and while saying this, he tries to hold my hand. But I'm holding his hand. But I still want to go with him, because it was now necessary to eliminate this rotten part of the Go family. An hour later in the main hall of Su House, I see Sukishin again and Gyudianshin is sitting next to him, but I ignore them and go and sit in one place. On which Suchingshin thinks for a while and then speaks why Guasai has called me here today. But I told myself I didn't have to say anything, because it's best for me not to. Hearing this, her eyes welled up with a slight smile, and she speaks softly after being silent for a while that she does not want to force me. But before he could finish, Goff's father had to speak in the middle. He grins and takes out an expansive wine, puts it on the table, and offers it to Su Qingshuan and his mother from the large Ananthusium to try. Then he points at me and says that Yassi has been stubborn since childhood, but he has scolded him. And this time when he's back, he'll be fine with Su Boss. To which he further says that why not choose a good day and arrange the wedding again. And saying this, he fills the glass with wine for Suching Shan. Perhaps in his eyes, I have always been just a tool that he uses to suit his convenience, and I was never an independent person. But then suddenly the main door of Jibai House opens loudly and some bodyguards come in, followed by a man wearing an official coat. As soon as he arrives, he says in a strong voice that what kind of era is this that arranged marriage is still being forced. And then he angrily says how dare a person from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs be forced to come here. On which the atmosphere of the entire Go family freezes completely, and the Go father immediately goes ahead and tries to make him happy. But the old man stares at him in a cold voice. He clearly says that forced marriage was abolished in 1950 itself, and today he is openly forcing the employees of the ministry, which is a direct insult to the law. These 2 or 3 lines of his shock everyone, and those who used to think of me as a servant now look at him in amazement. The father is confused and says that there is no ministry person here and he calls it a family dinner. But the old man ignores his words and looks at me and smilingly calls Yassi to come here. Gyufadar becomes even more confused and asks if he has recognized the wrong person. Because his son did not even go to college, and how can he be a man of ministry? But before he can do so, his bodyguards catch him. On which I stand in the middle of everyone's shocked eyes and go to that old man and apologize that he had to come here due to my family problems. Let me tell you that before leaving, I had sent a message to a friend who works in the ministry, and this old man is a former leader of the same department with whom I have met before. To which he says, I am an excellent member of the ministry. I am an expert in 5 languages at a young age, and my working ability is also outstanding. So he wants to end my leave and call me back soon. To which I immediately say that I have no problem, because I'm going back to work. Then she nods and at the same time enters the gate of a Hong Kai cargo house, followed by some police cars. I put them in the car, and as soon as I close the door, some people get down from the police car and go to the Go-Father and show their badges. He says that it has been found in the investigation that the place where he had sent me earlier used to have illegal activities, so he has to go and face inquiry with them. To which the Go-Father screams that he has done nothing. But no one listens to him, and the entire family dinner ends here. I am also going to sit in the car to go with the leader. Just then, a voice comes from behind, on which my hand stops on the door of the car, and the leader looks at me and shakes his head. Like you are saying that in the job of a diplomat there are fewer opportunities to meet family. Therefore, it is necessary to act quickly. Then he gets in the car and drives off, and I turn around and see Suchingshan and Good Asian, where the child is holding his mother's hand and looking at me with teary eyes. The boy tries to stop himself, raises the head. It's like he's somehow stopping his tears from falling, to which he says in a trembling voice, "Does Papa really not want to be my Papa? Don't you really want me?" Gun Jansen presses his hands hard as if it is very difficult for him to speak. Then he slowly says that both he and his mother have been missing me a lot these years, and he often sees his mother lost in the study room looking at my photo, and the things he said earlier because he was not sane, with which he asks, can I forgive him? Seeing him, my heart aches a little because after all he is my son and it is impossible for him not to feel something. But now I have left everything, still can't take my old friend's place and forgive him, on which I look at him with calm and soft eyes. I must say that the time spent with us was very short. Even in those 3 years, there was a year when he did not have the right understanding of the world, but every day I carried her in my arms. I was constantly talking to him, but he probably doesn't remember any of it. Then gradually, as he began to understand the world, he began to have a wrong idea, and he wanted to call someone else his papa more than I was his father. Even though he was an innocent child at that time, my pain at that moment was absolutely real, which was never fake. For the next 6 years, I was not present in his life, and I did not play any role in his upbringing. To tell the truth, I have no right to scold or teach him. But still today, I want to make him understand one thing, that even though he is a child, just being a child does not become an excuse, and this mistake of Gunia is not worth forgiving. At the end of my speech, I heard a scream from behind me, "Father, forgive me." My steps stop for a moment, but I'm still not going to stop, whether people call me cold or irrepressible. I don't care because I have already given him the best starting point. He gets the best education and care by staying with Sachinshua, and he never lacks love with which his future is also decided. Where he inherits the SU group, and what he gets is more than his imagination. At the thought of this, a slight relieved smile comes on my lips and my steps become faster. After some time, when I am about to return, Sachinshua comes to drop me at the airport, and this time she does not ask me anything about marriage again. He just stares at me silently. Then she says softly, "Yassi, if everything could start again, she would cherish me well. She really loves me, not like now, where there is only regret after losing everything. I always thought I'd be with him," she said. But he never thought his actions would make me happy. And then she says, "I'm really sorry, I don't answer to him. I just look at the flight display and remember the last time she left me. But we couldn't say goodbye. What I'm saying, Suckishin, this time we say goodbye in the right way." But she tries to say something and stops. I stand in front of him and open my arms and say, "Don't be so sad. I'm still an old friend of his who understands him, so let's have a hug." Before I could finish, she hugged me tightly, and her familiar saints surrounded me, holding me tightly. So much so that my breathing becomes heavy. I sigh a little and pat his bag gently, but his shoulders keep shaking, which explains his condition. Then I say in a low voice that if he finds the right person, he should marry a new one and behave well with the person to whom Suching Shun refuses by nodding her head, and a drop of her cold tear falls on my neck, realizing that fate sometimes plays a strange game with humans. I always thought he had no feelings for me. So I went without looking back, and I thought my departure was the best decision for everyone. But in the end, it all becomes a nightmare. Perhaps this relationship becomes a regression for him too, To which she comes close to my ear and says in a low voice that she is very sad because she has never hugged me with such a heart before. At that moment, my eyes light up. But then I say with a light smile that all this does not matter now and we should move on. Don't look back. To which she holds my hand and looks me in the eye and says that she will not marry again and Nyanshin will have only one father because she knows that the past has hurt me a lot. She says that even if I do not forgive her, she and Nyanshin will always wait for me, and if ever I want to meet her, let her know that wherever she is, she will immediately come in front of me with Nyanshin, and her house will always be open for me. His words are not complete when Nyanshin comes running from behind one of the pillars of the airport, whose eyes are red, and he says loudly, "Papa, forgive me, I will wait for you until you are ready to be my father again," on which I sit down. Like I used to celebrate her before, and I wipe her tears gently. I can't be with you forever, but I'll always be your dad. No one can change that, but I have to live for myself before I can be a father at the same time. There is an announcement that the passengers of flights 5-2 came to the gate for boarding and the flight to Helsing has now started boarding. On which I stand. For the last time, I put my hand on his head and look at Suching Shan and tell him to take her home. With that, I pick up my small suitcase and walk away without looking back. And then the plane takes off into the sky. Above the clouds emerge and below the whole city glitters like a web of lights. Perhaps a blood relationship will bring us together again. But my decision never changes because the road ahead is very long and this time I just live for myself.